Okay, folks, we would like to begin. So welcome, welcome, welcome. What a great turnout. I would like to begin by acknowledging, that the land on which we are gathered today is part of the traditional territory of the Three Fires Confederacy, which includes the Ojibwa, the Odawa, and the Potawatomi. It is through their ongoing connection with the spirit of the land, water, and air that we recognize their unique culture, traditions, and values. The many ways this connection to the land shaped their way of life aligns with the way that Dr. Richard Moriarty, who we are here to celebrate today, likewise lived out his beliefs in the holistic well-being of all through the many values exemplified in his actions. You can tell why I'm here, because Dick meant so much to me. To our guests, welcome, and sincere appreciation to each and every one of you. You have not only contributed financially, but you've taken time out of your day to be here. Your presence reflects how meaningful this project is. We are here to celebrate a journey that has touched each of us and brought us together today. Collectively, you represent a true cross-section of people connected in different ways. Some of you knew and worked closely with Dick. Others knew him through the benefit of his expertise. And some of you may not have known him personally, but know of him and the impact he made. One example I would like to acknowledge is the contribution from the Graduate Student Society. And note their strong presence here today as well. They did not know Dick, yet they recognized the value of this project. What they may not know is how much Dick thrived on interactions with his graduate students. He took great pride in their achievements and genuinely celebrated their successes. I hope at this ceremony, as this ceremony unfolds, you will come to feel as though you know Dick a little bit better. He had a remarkable ability to connect with people. No one, as Mary knows from conferences she went to with him, no one could work a room quite like he could. He would have spoken with each of you, learned about your plans, and perhaps most impressively, he would have remembered you, especially on graduation day, because he never missed a graduation. We're grateful to our donors who have supported us from both near and far. Some couldn't be with us in person today, like Mike Spang and Charlie Sciano, longtime friends from Rochester, New York, who attended Assumption University alongside Dick and fondly remember many shared antics. The Galasso family have been very supportive. Pat, as you know, was our founding dean and recognized a short while ago, and he and Dick worked side by side by building this great faculty. And I do have to mention a couple of people who are here today. Eddie Chitterow, who is a longtime friend of Dick and continues to contribute to the high school basketball tournament they started decades ago. Fred Blows is here, a graduate from our faculty, interacted with Dick daily to enhance the student experience both inside and outside the classroom, who drove in from Peterborough today to be here. And Bob Barney, I haven't seen Bob yet, but his plan was to be here. Bob was the athletic director at that university down the road in London, and a great friend of Dick's with a mutual value for educational sport. So this meant a lot to him as well. While I mention a few, it does not diminish the value of every one of you. I am sure you all have a fond Dick story. On behalf of our organizing team, I extend our deep appreciation to Dean Linda Rohr and the University of Windsor for negotiating a unique agreement for the naming rights of Moriarty Way. This includes the Faculty of Human Kinetics, both the kinesiology program and athletics and recreational services. Planning is often the easier part of the job. Carrying a vision through to the finish line can be far more challenging. That is where the expertise and leadership of Kelly Goslin, Director of Advancement and Alumni, I think many of you have met her, and Joanne Ballio, Director of Public Affairs and Communication, along with their exceptional teams, truly stood out. We are incredibly grateful also to Mona Lehman, who is orchestrating today for us, and we really appreciate her time. And the generosity, time, and commitment from all of you made this possible. As a result, Dick's philosophy will continue to live on. His way of living will ripple outward as visitors walk Moriarty Way and learn about who he was and the values he represented. As noted, Dr. Linda Rohr, Dean of the Faculty of Human Kinetics, was instrumental to our success, and I now have the pleasure of introducing her to you.
Thanks, Marge, and good afternoon, everyone. I'm truly honored to be here on behalf of the Faculty of Human Kinetics, a faculty that would not exist in the form it does today without the vision, dedication, and heart of the man we are celebrating. Before I speak to Dr. Moriarty's legacy, I want to acknowledge the university leadership whose support made Moriarty Way possible. Thank you to the President and Vice Chancellor, Dr. J.J. McMurtry, and Intern Provost and Vice President Academic, Dr. Cheryl Collier, for ensuring that this walkway stands as a permanent testament to the life and influence of Dr. Richard Moriarty. Dr. Moriarty was a trailblazer in every sense of the word. In 1956, he became athletics director at the University of Windsor. Over nearly 3 decades in that role, he built the program from the ground up, growing it from just 5 teams to 22 teams across men's and women's sport. That's not incremental growth. That is vision made real through relentless commitment. He was also the first instructor appointed to the University of Windsor's new School of Physical and Health Education in 1965, the school that would go on to become our Faculty of Human Kinetics. From that first appointment, Dr. Moriarty never stopped leading by example. He mentored generations of students, conducted research that shaped the field, and kept showing up through his retirement in 1998 and beyond as Professor Emeritus. His contributions were recognized widely and often. Dr. Moriarty was inducted into the Windsor-Essex Sports Hall of Fame, and he was the first person to receive all 3 University of Windsor honors: the Alumni Association Award, the Hall of Fame Award, and the Teachers Award. Among other accolades, Dr. Moriarty also received the R. Tate McKenzie Lifetime Achievement Award for dedication to physical and health education. His legacy lives on in this institution in both ways, formal and informally. The Moriarty Award is presented each year to the Lancer team with the highest academic achievement, a direct reflection of his belief that athletics and academic excellence are not competing values, but complementary ones. High school basketball players across the region benefit from his vision each year as well, competing in the University of Windsor Christmas Boys Basketball Tournament, the longest standing tournament of its kind in Canada. His reach extended well beyond our campus. Dr. Moriarty helped found the Canadian Inter-University Athletic Union and was deeply involved in the provincial level, shaping the structures that govern university sport across Ontario and across the country. And in the community he called home, he and his wife Mary co-founded the Bulimia Anorexia Nervosa Association, BANA, in 1983, establishing it as a leader in eating disorder awareness, prevention, and treatment. That work has given many people their lives back. Leader, educator, advocate. Those are the 3 pillars you will see reflected in Moriarty Way, and they are the 3 words that define a remarkable life of service. It's a privilege to gather today on his birthday to say thank you, Dick. The Faculty of Human Kinetics, the University of Windsor, and this community are better for everything you gave us. Everyone here has been impacted by Dr. Moriarty's career and legacy. It is now my pleasure to introduce U Windsor alumnus and a colleague and former student of Dr. Moriarty, Dr. Gregory Reeds. Greg first met Dick in a graduate class and completed his master's degree in sports psychology in the Faculty of Human Kinetics. Upon his graduation in 1980, Greg pursued his doctorate degree at SUNY Buffalo and embarked on a long and distinguished career as a university professor and coach. Together, spanning over 40 years, Greg and Dick shared research projects and conference visits, but most of all, many laughs and a lifetime of mutual respect and friendship. I'm thrilled Greg has been able to join us today. Thank you.
Thank you, Dean Rohr, for that very kind invitation. It is a distinct pleasure to be a guest here at the opening and dedication of Moriarty Way. So Mary, members of the Planning Committee, Dean Rohr, distinguished guests, fellow Lancer alumni, what a wonderful and exciting day to be back in Windsor. We made it. The road is open. Our pathway of awesome memories has been secured. Moriarty Way is now ready for travel. What a perfect tribute to Dick's memory. He has led so many of us down a successful path. A teacher, a friend, a mentor, a father figure. The Road Less Traveled, a 1978 novel, published ironically in 1978, the year I arrived in Windsor, written by Dr. M. Scott Peck, is a seminal psychological self-help book that blends spiritual growth with psychological insights, opening with the famous line, "Life is difficult." It outlines 4 core principles: delay gratification, accept responsibility, dedication to the truth, balance your life, navigate life's problems, achieve spiritual evolution, and develop a love for others. This is the Moriarty Way. The road less traveled will now be the road more often traveled. Matthew 7, verses 13 and 14 tell us to enter the road by the narrow gate. The gate that is wide may look appealing, but leads to a life of destruction. Enter the road by the narrow gate, and the road will lead to a successful life. I'd like to share just one brief story of the many memories I share with my time spent together with Dick. As I'm sure most of you know, Dick secured a 5-year grant with the Canadian Federation of Amateur Baseball to run the training camp for the Canadian national baseball team here on campus. For 5 summers after I graduated, I made the trek down the 401 to Windsor to help out with the training camp. This included our annual trips to Ottawa to report on our training camp findings and research, along with trips down the road to Olympic Stadium to claim our front row seats for an Expos game, or for the Pearson Cup at the C&E Stadium and Exhibition Stadium in Toronto. For those summers, Dick booked me into Laurier Hall, Huron Hall, the house on Rosedale, among a few other places. Day 1 of training camp was to be held over at Tiger Stadium. The border crossing into Detroit was, to say the least, an adventure. I was a Canadian living in the States. Dick was an American living in Canada. We had 2 Iranian students at the time, a Chinese student, and a few other semi-seedy, semi-hungover grad students. Dick loaded us into the car, and he packed his trunk with a load of questionable surveillance equipment, cameras, recording devices, photoelectric timers, floodlights, stopwatches, extensive cables. Needless to say, customs and immigration were not happy. They said, "You're not coming in, you're not coming in, you're not coming in, you are never coming in," and they invited Dick in for an interview inside with the immigration and customs officials. I do believe they called the university president that day, I think it was Ronnie Annie at the time, who had to vouch for the authenticity of Dick's border crossing. We were all turned back and repealed at the border. Dick pleaded not to have his recording devices seized. Training camp for day 1 was over. We retreated and reassembled over at the Moriarty home that evening, opened up a bottle of Greek ouzo, cracked out Sean's telescope, and apparently we gazed into the stars looking at star patterns, which I had no idea what we were looking at, into the wee hours of the morning, and we worked on a plan for yet another attempt to gain an illegal entry at the Detroit border. In the words of Canadian rocker Tom Cochrane, life is indeed a highway. Long live Moriarty Way. Thank you.
So now many of you probably know a bit more about Dick. Greg clearly has a Dick story. Thank you, Linda, and thank you, Greg, so much. Another piece of the Moriarty legacy, as you know, is BANA, founded by Dick and Mary Moriarty. It reflects who Dick was: giving, impactful, insightful, practical, through his teaching, research, and community service. Joining us today from BANA to speak about this contribution are Luciano Rousseau Ceza, Executive Director, and Patrick Kelly, Communications and Office Administrator.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for being here today to honor life that continues to shape this community in such a meaningful way. As we stand here at the dedication of the Moriarty Way, we are not simply naming a road, we are recognizing a journey. A journey marked by service, compassion, leadership, and an unwavering commitment to others. And in doing so, we are reminded that the truest legacies are not measured in titles or accolades, but in the lives we touch and in what continues to grow because of them. Dick Moriarty lived a life rooted in purpose as an educator. He shaped generations of students, not just through knowledge, but through belief. He saw potential in people often before they saw it in themselves. As a leader in athletics, he understood that success was never just about winning. It was about character, resilience, teamwork, and growth. But perhaps the most profound chapter of his life was born out of unimaginable loss. In 1982, Dick and his wife, Mary, lost their daughter, and their siblings lost their sister, Erin, to anorexia nervosa. At that time, when eating disorders were rarely spoken about and even less understood, families struggled in silence. There was little support, little awareness, and far too much stigma. Many would have been consumed by the grief, and understandably so. But the Moriarty family chose a different path. They chose to act. Out of that loss came a conversation, and out of that conversation came a community. And out of that community came what we know today as the Bulimia Anorexia Nervosa Association, BANA. What began more than 43 years ago as a small group of determined individuals, including Marge Holman, had grown into something greater that these people would have not imagined. Today, BANA stands as a comprehensive community-based organization supporting individuals and families across Windsor and beyond. That growth is not accidental. It is a direct result of the philosophy that Dick lived every day, that compassion must be paired with action. We see that philosophy in the evolution of BANA's work. From early efforts around awareness, BANA helped to shift eating disorders and when they were so misunderstood. Our health promotion team has moved the conversation out of the shadows into the community, reducing stigma, creating space for honesty, and replacing silence with support. From there, services expanded to meet where people were. And at that time, we looked at growth, and we continuously looked at expansion. And today, through evidence-based treatment that offers accessible, ongoing care for those navigating recovery. And when the need called for more intensive support, BANA answered. Partnering with Windsor Regional Hospital and the Windsor Essex Community Health Centre, we developed and are hosting an intensive outpatient program that provides structured, multidisciplinary care while allowing individuals to remain connected in their lives, their families, and their community where they live. Understanding that this impact also means prevention. Following Dick Moriarty's example, BANA became the lead agency one of the lead agencies, in building the province-wide Eating Disorders Ontario Prevention Program. Now its staff across, and this is exceptional, Ontario's West Region, we're equipping frontline service providers, educators, and communities with the tools to recognize, understand, and challenge the pressures that continue to contribute to disordered eating. While we are here to celebrate the legacy of Dr. Moriarty, I would be remiss not to acknowledge the incredible BANA team, which are here today, some of them, both the board and staff, whose contributions continue to drive our mission forward. I'm especially grateful to Mary Kay Lucier, BANA's first hire and former executive director, for her invaluable mentorship during my early years. I've been with the organization for almost 23 years. I also want to thank our past board chair, Dr. Sarah Woodruff, which is here as well, who championed our vision for expansion and urged us to never settle. Finally, my thanks to our current board chair, Kelly Goslin, for her steadfast trust in our team as we continue our journey together. We hope that Dick would be proud of us today, that we've become a world-class continuum of care, and we provide the vision and guidance that he provided to us. I'm going to turn it over to Patrick.
Beyond treatment, Dick's message traveled around the world of eating disorders. And as that world has changed, so too is the way BANA connects. Through initiatives like our podcast, we now carry those same conversations beyond walls. We're meeting people wherever they are, breaking down barriers, reminding listeners that they are not alone. In 2020, I remember going to Dick and Mary's house with the very first issue of our BANA magazine. Dick was actually the first one to read the hard copy and was so enthralled with it, he became our champion. It's now an internationally read magazine carrying stories of recovery, resilience, lived experience far beyond this region, changing perspectives, building empathy, and continuing the work of awareness on a global scale. Through countless community partnerships that Dick inspired with community health partners, and for those along the way, students, athletes, family, this is going to be so much more than just another path on campus. For those who know his story, it becomes something different. It becomes an invitation to pause, to reflect, to ask ourselves, what is my way? How do I turn care into action? How do I support those who feel unseen? How do I contribute to something larger than myself? Because if Dick Moriarty's life reflected anything in BANA's evolution, if it's taught us anything, it's this. You don't need to start with something big. You just need to start something. In every program, in every conversation, in every life touched through the people here at the University of Windsor and through BANA, that is the Moriarty Way. It's not a destination, it's a direction. So today, as we honor Dick, we want us to do one more thing than remember him. Let's continue him. Thank you.
All right, so as you see here, there is a memorial bench today that BANA has commissioned on Dick's passing in 2021. On this message, it reads, "Your legacy will continue to support, encourage, and inspire us all." It's a beautiful extension of Dick's ideals, a place to sit, to breathe, to reflect, and perhaps to begin again. It stands as a reminder that within each of us lies the potential to create meaningful change, just as he did. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lucy and Patrick. I guarantee Dick is very proud of what you're doing in your BANA family. I would also like to take a moment to acknowledge the team that came together to complete this project. Almost all of them are here today. We invited more than a dozen people, and not one person declined. That's something that speaks volumes about the respect that people held for Dick. This team helped shape the design, were essential to the fundraising, and supported community outreach as we connected with friends and alumni. To each and every one of you, thank you. I suspect that when you saw my name in your inbox, you may have groaned and thought, oh no, what now? But truly, from the bottom of my heart, I thank you. Within this group, Jim Weiss and Bill Hallett became my go-to advisors. Jim for his administrative experience and Bill for his fundraising expertise. Thanks to their support and the efforts of the entire team, we achieved our fundraising goal and created the meaningful tribute you are about to see today. So we would like to do the unveiling now, what you've all been waiting for. I would like to invite the Moriarty family, Jim Weiss and Linda Rohr, to join me at the podium. And as they come forward, I will share a bit of the concept. As you walk along Moriarty Way from College Avenue with the street sign with Moriarty Way on it, the plaque, flags, and bench markers, passing the academic building and the St. Denis Centre, both of which Dick helped design, and arriving at the Toldo Lancer Centre, you will see the connection between education and sport woven into this space. And as you feel that connection, you will recognize how it reflects the values Dick championed. The package of academics and sport that completes the student educational experience. The physical pathway and the philosophical pathway combined. While we are here to honor Dick, this recognition, also belongs to the Moriarty family. Let me give you one little piece of trivia. 19 members of the Moriarty family have graduated from the University of Windsor. And I have no doubt that the number will continue to grow. At this time, I would like to invite Dick's children, Sean, Katie, Danny, to share some of their memories of their father and what the University of Windsor has meant to their family.
Well, how's everyone doing today? It's so great to see so many familiar faces, friendly faces from back in the day, which is my favorite period of time. I want to thank everybody who's come here, especially people who've come from a long distance away. Apparently people have come further away than the 2 blocks that we came today. And I wanted to thank everybody who made this day possible. To have so many people contribute to this project is truly humbling to our family. Specifically wanted to thank Dr. Marge Holman, Dr. Jim Weiss, Bill Hallett, and everyone on the Moriarty Way committee who took an idea and brought it to what we see today, this beautiful tribute to my dad. Thanks so much to Dr. Linda Rohr, Dean of the Human Kinetics faculty, and to all of the HK faculty, staff, the students. Thanks to the athletic director, Stephanie White, the assistant athletic director, Eric Vanderbrook, and everybody in the athletic department. And thanks so much to the Alumni Association for their efforts that they put in. And for finishing my outfit last night. I appreciate finding that pin. And thanks to the University of Windsor for working with the organizing committee and with the family to develop the Moriarty Way concept we see today. I know the family is happy to see all the banners and the plaques, which will act as a lasting memory to my dad's contribution to the university and to the community. And I hope a lot of you had an opportunity to to reconnect with their Assumption College, Assumption University, University of Windsor days, and share memories and stories for which my dad might have played a part in. Growing up, I always thought my dad had an interesting job. The professor part, teaching classes, marking papers. I have vivid memories of my dad out on the lawn chair marking papers, probably a nice day like this. He was forever reading all the articles, all the books. My favorite is still lies, damn lies, and statistics. And I probably would have done better in my stat courses years later if I would have read what was inside the covers. And my dad was forever taking notes. I think that's what the smart people do. He was always taking notes. And the sports seemed to be a really important part of my dad's life. I don't think as a kid I quite understood what being the athletic director, all the meetings, the committees, the travels, how much work was into it. I just knew as a kid, 5 years old, holding my dad's hand, I could walk by hundreds of students into the old St. Denis Centre to watch the Lancers play. And spoiler alert, that doesn't work at Tiger Stadium or the Palace or the Silver Dome at all. Thanks to everyone that's here and contributed time and effort. And I really think it's a great way to honor my dad, to name the road that gets for you from the academic and the research down to recreation and competitive sports and some good family fun. I always remember the family going to the gym and having a great time. And thank you so much, and I'm wishing my dad a happy 93rd birthday.
Yeah, go Lancers. I wanted to spend a few minutes talking about my dad as a father and a parent. They say that fatherhood is a profound journey of love, sacrifice, mentorship. I agree with you, yeah. And it turns ordinary men into heroes. My father's presence was loomed larger than life in a lot of ways. And just like the Moriarty Way walks a path, for me, it emphasized his values, and these are very evident in our family life. I really wanted to acknowledge it really holds for both of my parents, and it takes two to tango. I wanted to thank my mom for inviting my dad out to a Sadie Hawkins dance when they were just at students and at the Assumption University at that time. So today also feels like a celebration of my mom, because you really didn't think of one without the other. And my mom was very intertwined in much of my dad's work. On my dad's business card, it actually said Dr. Dick and Mary Moriarty, PhD. So they walked their lives together, and it was really an unbelievable journey. I'm really grateful for the lessons my parents instilled in us, and a few of them that I just wanted to emphasize were live your life with passion. And my dad used to always say, if you choose something that you love, you'll never work a day of your life. And that's definitely how he felt. To stand beside your values as a guiding post, even when it's not popular or not in vogue. And that's not always easy, but my dad did that. To see the glass half full and to celebrate life. And anyone that probably knows the Moriarty family knows that we like to celebrate things big and small. There's my mom's Oscar night party. There's constant sporting events that we would attend with my father, holidays, just being together essentially was a reason to crack a bottle of champagne or to open a Guinness. One other thing was definitely to keep people that are important to you in the forefront. And my parents used to always have a saying, show me who your friends are, and I'll show you who you are. And it makes me happy to really look out and see so many people that surrounded our family's orbit here today. I love seeing Eddie Chitterow. He was my godfather. And to be here, and Evelyn Chitterow, Mark Fathers, his parents, Ken and Leona Fathers. Ken was the lead sports writer for the Windsor Star, and his wife, Mrs. Fathers, was my godmother. I know my dad's friends from Rochester, New York, who he came to school with, will watch the video later, and so Chuck Shiano and Mike Spang, so the Rochester boys. I love celebrating today with so many familiar faces of people who weaved, hi Hunt Pool, weaved through our family lives, and the Murrays, the McAdams, and the Moriartys. There's a saying, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. My parents chose wisely with who they chose to travel their path with, who they chose as their go-together. That's what really helps to make something stronger and sustainable. And you trust then that those people that you locked hands and arms with continue to soar higher and higher. And I know that that definitely has been true with BANA and with the University of Windsor. So I look forward to the party after and hearing and sharing stories about my dad with everybody.
Hi. Think where man's glory begins and ends, and say my glory was I had such family and friends. So this passage from William Butler Yeats was how Dick began his address when he received his honorary doctorate from the university in 2005. And I think the address he gave at convocation was one that I went back to trying to put into words what the Moriarty Way is. Danny gave the family thank yous, and we are very grateful for having this event here and all the work that went into it. And Katie talked about the family memories she has and how much being a part of the university meant to our family, which extends to my wife, Jackie, whom I met in the pub at the University of Windsor, and our three children, Connor, Patrick, and Liam, all University of Windsor students at one time, and Connor's wife, Erin. We love Liam's partner, Hannah, too, and I know she got a fine education at Brock. But now, my dad loved the Lancers, but nothing was more important to him than family, and I know that because he drank his coffee every morning out of the Western Grandpa mug that Patrick gave to him. So the Moriarty Way is going to be a pathway for students, athletes, and fans as they make their way to the Toldo Lancer Centre. But the Moriarty Way is also a way of life. And when my dad spoke to the graduates 21 years ago in the field house that the path leads to, I think he gave insight into what he valued and what his life lessons were. And here are some of the items that he discussed in that talk. Learn to love school and engage in lifelong education. Dick was a boy who failed grade 1, but as his mother, Lily, said, she couldn't get Dick to start school and Mary couldn't get him to stop. He came a long ways after grade 1, for sure. He talked about learn goodness, knowledge, and discipline. Dick came from a Basilian high school in Rochester, Aquinas, to the Basilian-run Assumption College in 1952. The values of Aquinas, Assumption College, and the University of Windsor continue to run through this institution to this day. And Moriarty Way is a link from those early days to the great days of our students and athletes are living now. Dick was a humble person. He had many awards, but he said his Excellence in Teaching Award should really be the Student Learning Award. The Mentorship Award should be the Excellence in Advisees Achievement Award. He was proud of all of the achievements of his students, and I think one of his happiest moments, though, too, was when his students saved his life when he was having his stroke during class in 1994. When I think of my dad's stroke, he had to really start learning all over again. He started by learning to walk and to talk. He was always working on his moving his muscles, improving his speech, and regaining the skills he had before. And I remember about 2 years after my dad's stroke, I was working in the computer center as a computing consultant, and one of the campus security officers came by and told me he had just seen my dad. And when I asked him where, he said, well, he was walking down California street, and he was stretching against a tree to go and to work his limbs. And he was always doing that when he would go, right, Mom? He just never stopped doing that. He just really never stopped working to get better. And what was most important, he never felt sorry for himself at all. When Aaron passed away, Dick and Mary and a group worked to form BANA, as we've heard, and with some great stories. They didn't want to see other families go through what they had gone through. It brought all of my father's strengths together, the researcher, collaborator, organizer, educator, and administrator. The fact that BANA is stronger than ever 40 years later is a testament to the hard work that is of its staff right now, and he is extremely proud of everything that they achieved. But they certainly had a solid foundation built by Mary, Dick, Patty Perry, and others. My dad knew how to make a good organization, and he always centered around the people and the relationships in it. Dick was a master of relationships, as we've heard today. No one could work a room like he did. He just knew everyone there. I remember going to Disney World in Florida when I was about 19, and we walked through the gates. And right as soon as we walked through the gates, there were some people walking up to my dad, greeting him and saying hi. We went to a spring training game about 25 years ago, and I left him on a bench while I got tickets at the will call. When I came back, there were two of his students sitting with him, talking to him. I think of all those interactions as the people that my dad had an impact on. In my dad's final hours, when he was at the hospital about to pass away, the nurse on the afternoon shift found out that Dick and Mary had started BANA, and she told them she had met him before, and when she was in high school, and had done a couple of projects on BANA and had interviewed him. Then when the nurse passed off to the evening nurse, she told her of the connection to my parents. And that nurse came in and told them that she had been a patient of BANA and what a difference the organization has made in her life. Those stories are everywhere, and I know that many of you have them as well. I know Dick would be touched to see so many family and friends here today. I'll finish with what my father said in his commencement address about a lesson that Father Armstrong had taught him and Mary after my sister Erin's funeral. Don't feel sorry for yourselves because you've suffered a pain you can't forget. Remember the happy memories, live on. So do the best you can to care for others and for yourself. How do we get through tragedies in life? We all hug tighter, pray a little harder, and depend upon the support of your family and friends. And I think that is the Moriarty way that my dad would want to leave you with on this path. Thank you.
Thank you. Heartwarming. And I suspect everybody here now knows a little bit more about Dick. And even I do. Sean mentioned Dick actually drinks a cup of coffee in the morning. I knew Dick with a cup of coffee on his desk in the morning, and maybe by 6, 7 o'clock at night, half of it was gone, and he's still drinking that same cold cup of coffee. He counted on Betty. We used to have staff that cleaned our offices nightly. And Betty was incredible. If she liked you, she'd come in, she'd take all your cups, she'd clean them. She put bleach in the teapot, which Jim Duthie didn't like very much. But everything was immaculate. And she would always make sure that Dick's cup was emptied, cleaned, and ready for the next morning. So again, thank you. As we draw to a close with the formal dedication, I would like to express how grateful we are to our Alumni Association for supporting us with this project and for providing today's refreshments. Their special touch celebrates both Dick's career and, as you heard, his birthday today. Their added touch is a birthday cake in Dick's honor. So what I now like to do is please invite you to stay and enjoy these refreshments and take the opportunity to share stories, laughter, conversation with friends, colleagues, and especially with Dick's family. Thank you for coming. Have a good look at all the memorabilia for Dick and the honor to Dick. And we hope you'll visit campus frequently and say hello to Dick. Take care.